William, there's been lots of efforts to end this civil war before. It's claimed some 400,000 lives. Why is this different?
Well, that's more of a question than an answer because we don't know if it's different. We had a deal like this in 2011, we had another deal in 2015, and we had the 2018 deal with many of the same issues in play. And so what we're having right now is a deal with many of the issues still unresolved, and we don't know if the unresolved issues will derail this like it derailed all the previous ones, or whether this time it's different. This time the rhetoric is very strong. There's a lot of outside pressure making this keep on the tracks, but we really don't know if it's going to succeed. So to quote one of my friends from Crisis Group, he said, "We've taken a big leap forward, but from way, way back," and so we just don't know if this is going to succeed long term or not.
The former rebel leader Riek Machar has become the first vice president. He wanted the number of states reduced, and he got that, but why? Why was that important for him?
This is the most important issue in South Sudan because the more states you have, the more governments you have, and the more spoils there are to dole out. And also the borders of the states were favoring certain ethnic groups and creating power concentrations or not. There are even militias attached to particular states. So you strengthen or weaken a militia depending on where you draw the states. So this was the #1 issue for years. There were many versions trotted out over the last couple of years of the solution, but all of the proposals and what the president had done were in violation of the original 2011 Constitution. So going back to 10 states sort of goes back to status quo ante. It goes back to the beginning and says, let's start again from the beginning on what we agreed on before and take it from there. Now, it's raised another issue. The president wants to divide the 10 states into 3 administrative reasons, and the new vice president doesn't agree to that. So we're already solving one problem and starting another debate.
South Sudan split from Sudan less than a decade ago, and there was lots of hope internationally for the world's newest country. What went wrong?
Right from the beginning, you had power struggles. You know that the history of wars in Sudan go back to 1972, and the history of wars of this new state go back to 2010-11. I mean, right before the state was formed, they were already fighting, and those same fighting localized fighting episodes carried over into 2011, 12, 13. So basically, it's an area of the world that's constantly been at war and constantly making peace deals since the 70s. And so now is no different. The question is, will this deal yield more positive results or not? And we still don't know.
The UN called the situation there a war crime, a crime against humanity.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? When will the people there see some relief?
You have 6 million people in a country of 12 million max, if all the refugees return, who are food insecure, who need humanitarian relief immediately, half the population, down from 60%. You have the worst refugee crisis since the Rwanda conflict in the 90s. You have horrible human rights crimes. In fact, one of the reasons this agreement was precipitated was because a UN report came out attacking both sides for war crimes and sexual trafficking and sexual abuse. I mean, terrible things. And at the same time, the U.S. has been putting sanctions on people, including one of the new vice presidents. One of the other ones has U.S. and UN sanctions on him. So all of that was part of the, let's say, humanitarian context that basically told the leaders, you've got to get your house in order because we need to help all these people. And that economic crisis isn't even addressed in these negotiations, but is job one for the South Sudanese population, getting the economy in order and getting food relief out to everybody.
All right, William Lawrence from American University, thank you for being with us.